Thank you, Chair. I'm humbled to be here, to be part of this gathering. I thank the organizers. The title for my presentation has been said. I come from the Institute of Traditional Medicine, Muhimbili University of Faith and Allied Sciences in Tanzania. If I can have the control remote. My talk okay. Yeah, my talk will be in the following flow. I'll first give an introductory remark, and then I will discuss the contribution of indigenous people for health. I will also discuss the contribution of indigenous knowledge to science of health, and the contribution of indigenous knowledge to pharmaceutical product development. I will give also the perspective of intellectual property compensation, especially the borderline which exists between bioprospecting and the biopiracy. And I will propose some mechanism to resolve some of the IP issues as far as biodiversity exploration is concerned, and especially when you explore from the indigenous knowledge. And lastly, I will recommend and how indigenous stakeholders, the indigenous holders can actually participate in the sustainable value chain. My talk will concentrate on parts of Africa. Of course, Africa has diverse culture and ethnic group. My presentation is relevant for Bantu, which comprise about 400 distinct local ethnic groups. You can see from the map here. And within Bantu, there's Swahili language, which is native to Tanzania. This is the country I come from. And it is this Swahili which is used in communication, both in the informal and the formal sector. It has been expanding, and actually, due to this expansion, UNESCO has proclaimed Swahili as the first African language, which is celebrated every 7th of July of each year. So what is in Kiswahili is a language, is part of the innovation, the health, in the sense that Kiswahili by itself has no ethnicity due to its widespread across tribes, but also across countries. The language promotes peace and harmony, unity and diversity, international understanding, and harmonious communication. You will agree with me that peace and harmony is number one medication. A person is not necessarily diseased, sometimes can just be sick because of associated surroundings. And we see this especially for displaced communities, such as refugees, or when there's disasters. What is needed in this situation is peace and harmony, assurance that there shall be peace and harmony because the community is not really healthy. As humans interact by themselves through language, they also interact with the environment. This has been said by many of the speakers, how other species, like animals, plants, even objects, do interact with a human being. And so the environment is actually a very instrumental in providing also resourceful agents in advancing well-being of human beings. For the case of management of disease, for example, a simple movement of winds can be an indicator for prediction of events of outbreak of certain pandemic or contagious diseases. Gender role in the community, such as women, and the elderly communities, the traditional healers, continue serving as preservation and reserve of traditional knowledge in the informal sector. They really know which kind of wind is for measles and which kind of wind is for flu. In traditional medicine, we call a wind, but it is a pattern which comes, and the indigenous know and they can recognize which kind of disease is expected. So as far as the contribution of indigenous knowledge to the science of health, I will give it in a context of the African traditional medicine, which defines as a sum total of knowledge, skills, and a practice based on theories, beliefs, and experience indigenous to African culture, whether explicable or not, and use in maintenance of health as well as in prevention, diagnosis, improvement, or treatment of physical and mental illness. I have put color in 2 words, but because of time, I want to concentrate with the word culture and the definition. Understanding this definition, I have to put in the context of the culture, African culture. As I said, I'm talking in the context of Bantu, who believes that a human being is holistic yet corporate. The holism is in the sense that a human body is an organic whole, which is integrated with the environment, and this human being is connected to other sociological, whether it's a family, but it has also relation with the intangible forces, which can be God or gods of the universe. And so for this contribution for traditional medicine, we see that it's not really the material things which are just needed in the treatment of diseases, but there are other non-material things. Some can be explained by science, but some knowledge are still in the indigenous. There are no concepts and theories which can fully explain in science. We have, for example, Afro-soul music and dances, which are used in management of psychotic distress, such as stress, depression, and other mental illness. For the case of contribution of indigenous knowledge to pharmaceutical products, the former speakers just said about how medicinal plants have contributed to medicine. But in the context of the indigenous people, there are some plants which are life-sustaining. And I want to give this example of this plant called Securidaca longipendicerata. It is indigenous in Africa, and it has many uses. And it is a tree. You can see it here, a big tree. So what the community does, they dig a hole, and then they will actually take the lateral roots, because for one of its uses is used to relieve headache, fever, and also to ward away evil spirits. Indeed, the natural science indicates that there is a chemical in it which is relevant for fever, and it is called methyl salicylate. But this compound is labile, and so for the community, they continue using the plant because it is effective. Yet in science and for interest of public health, methyl salicylate gives out salicylic acid, which actually was used in synthesis of aspirin. You can see here the structure related. And indeed, pharmacology agrees with the claims in the indigenous knowledge. It is for the condition. But yet, none of these structures are used in pharmaceutical development. So the relevance of these structures is just to give information of synthesizing other drugs, which actually gives the same pharmacology and which are palatable in the clinical application. And so this whole process is what we call it bioprospecting when starting with the indigenous knowledge. And there are many medicines which has been developed through this process. The former speaker just said. And so for the bioprospecting, I've just put this ideal tree to explain that bioprospecting starts with indigenous knowledge, which is coded, but it is exchanged through science. As I said, the natural science gives the theories, but applied science really takes us to the application. It is the same route that are done for bioprospecting and bioprospecting, but it's the different intent which actually give an outcome, whether it will be a bioprospecting or biophyllus. And I have depicted here that biophyllus can just be a big fruit, but low hanging, because it cannot multiply. But for bioprospecting, it actually can result into many other fruits, because the content and context can actually be changed as long as there is fair and equitable sharing of benefits between the partners. And so because the processes are the same, what I see to be the problem is at the base of knowledge exchange. And one of the problems which needed to be strengthened is on documentation of IK as a prior art. Yeah, it's a good thing to document, and I really recommend that, but yet documentation can be in one way a process of limiting innovation at the communal level. What is written, or what is written can be changed or can be modified. We have to look into how we strengthen that. The other one is a clear way of ascertaining originality of indigenous knowledge and who really owns the knowledge, because some of the IK cuts across related cultures. And so, as other speakers have said, knowledge is alive. It's living, so it grows. It can be exchanged, and it is changing. So during exploration, who really owns the information? It's very important to be strengthened through mechanisms which I think different organs can think of. The other things on the same is flexibility of translation of indigenous knowledge and transformation through research and development. We have seen that the way translation is done can actually lead into discover something which is related, but was not exactly documented in the same way. The second issue is on words and the wording in the memorandum of understanding and the other legal instruments, because we deal with indigenous people, and so the languages of legal really are confusing, and we have to make sure that something is done on that. Some of the mechanisms now which I'm proposing can resolve this, especially in connection with the recognize the IK holders, including recognize the originality of initial information and material through legal systems that gave a clue for discovery, and also strengthening IP institutions and those which deal with the access benefit sharing. This could promote documentation of use of medicinal plant. Again, the documentation should serve as referencing, but not as signature of status quo. And last, strengthening mechanism for fair and equitable sharing could reduce secrecy. You know, for traditional healers, secrecy is their way of protection. But there are other mechanisms which are actually transferable. Probably this can be encouraged so that the product development and promotion of global health is really recognized and really taken, because if we concentrate on documenting so that we can have protection in the sense that you give is a good thing, but really we have to look into mechanism of having IP which are transferable. Of course, IK holders continue. Okay. I will propose on the two recommendation for IP holders, which we have actually tried in our institute, including development of a program. They are themselves trained, but we have a training program. We are trying to bring in the knowledge, and we disseminate it that way. And we see traditional medicine are being sold over the counter because of the education we are giving. But also, IK holder continue to be shared through the trade systems, and Tanzania is part of a country which actually exports a lot of medicinal plants. Some of them are used as spices, yet they are used in pharmaceutical development. To conclude, I can say that knowledge is acquired, it's the end, it's exchanged, and so it is the intent which is very important, and then the IK contribution in advancing solutions and contributing to the science is really recognized, and it's seen in the material and the non-material treatment. And the enumeration of indigenous knowledge in a fair and the equitable mechanism is in the bioprospective process, and in trade system creates a motivation for biodiversity conservation to continue offering mankind medicine and the right compound for pharmaceutical development. I would like to thank you for everything, organizers, and for listening. Thank you very much.